time, sir?
It is 7 o'clock, so if you all would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda, the minutes for the June 11th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes for the June 11th meeting.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consider a request to close West First Street from Meridian to Grandview and Grandview to Athletic Park entrance from 6 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. on August 10th for the Harvey County Free Fair Parade and for city assistance with the Harvey County Free Fair. And that's Denise.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a request that we have received from the Harvey County Fair Board asking us to close West First Street from Meridian to Grandview, and then they're going to turn at Grandview and continue the parade through the circle of Athletic Park. They have moved this parade to that location last year because of things going on downtown with, well, we thought, I think the C-Clip stuff was happening. And then they have, you'll also see in their packet, there's a list of things that they have met with city staff to discuss about other assistance that they are going to be needing for the fair. And there is also a schedule in your packet because the fair is taking place over 2 weekends. And that's something that's a little bit different this year as well. Staff has looked at this and has met, like I said, met with the Harvey County Fair Board and is okay with this.
Okay, questions, comments?
So I just was wondering, they don't want to go back downtown like they used to be since the streets are
For the
okay?
parade?
Uh-huh.
No, it worked out real nice for them, and they liked using West First Street. The high school has been using that too for their homecoming parade, and it's worked out well. So
Okay.
you got the railroad tracks you have to deal with, and I think that, and
we
more
don't have to deal
traffic.
with the state either.
Yeah, it's true. We don't have to
Oh,
request
okay.
it from KDOT.
Okay.
I move that we approve this request.
I will second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 3, consider a request for the use of Athletic Park and Okerberg Park for Sand Creek Summer Daze on July 13th, 11th through 13th, and for Public Works Services. Denise.
Okay, thank you. This is a request that you have had in your packet for a number of years now. This is for Sand Creek Summer Daze Festival that is happening July 11th through 13th. And they are wanting to have city assistance for putting up snow fencing and trash containers and that kind of stuff, picnic tables. And they have met all the requirements, and city staff has reviewed this and is okay with this application.
Okay. Questions or comments? So I need a motion to approve the use of the park and for Public Works Services.
I would make that motion.
I will second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I probably better abstain since I'm on.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah. And consider temporary alcohol permit for July 12th from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. and on July 13th from noon until midnight for Sand Creek Summer Daze.
Okay, this is a request from Sand Creek Summer Daze. We have done this request in past years as well. They are wanting to have on July 12th from 7 o'clock p.m. to 10 o'clock. And then on Saturday, they'll start at noon and go to midnight for a temporary alcohol permit. In your packet, there is a drawing on that has to be turned into the state. They have paid their $25 to us. They will also pay their fee to the state. And we are okay with this. They meet all the requirements that we have on the books for that. And I would suggest, Mayor, that you abstain from this one as well. Thank you.
I would move that we approve the temporary alcohol permit for July 12th and July 13th as stated in the agenda.
I will second that.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Planning Commission, Chris.
Sure. This is a zoning change for 300 West 11th. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 3rd, heard public comment, which consisted of the property owner, and then advocacy in terms of daycares spoke to it in favor of it. No one spoke in opposition of it. This goes from an R1, which is single family, to an R3, which is multifamily. Unanimous vote in support. That comes in terms of a recommendation to you to approve. Should you accept that recommendation and vote in favor, you can do the zoning change through an ordinance. I would stand for any questions on this item. Rich, you got a question?
No, I was,
No?
I was looking at the map, and it was like, why is that one blue when we're talking about this?
Yeah,
I squirreled for a moment.
I think the important one on there would be the
red.
one that shows the zoning adjacent to it from an R1 to an R3, that attachment D.
These things are always iffy, but
Right.
I can appreciate the Planning Commission having done their due diligence on it, and I like that this property is on a corner and it's not smack dab in the middle of a road, so I'm fine with it.
And I think part of the discussion too was our zoning code and what's allowed in certain districts in terms of home daycares, and there may be some discussion and potential suggestions for change later in terms of what is allowed and not. The motivation for this particular one was for childcare, but obviously we don't want to make zoning changes based on a particular use. We want to look at everything that's acceptable. So that's all from staff, I think.
I move that we receive the recommendation from the Newton Planning Commission for this zoning amendment.
I will second that.
Got a motion and a second to receive. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance number?
Yes. 5149-24.
I move that we approve ordinance, or accept ordinance 5149-24.
I second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're zipping right through. It is time for citizens forum. So whichever one of you want to step up and introduce yourself and tell your address and share with us whatever it is that's on your mind.
Hello, I'm Reggie Cooper. I live at 928 South Ash. I am here because of disabled vehicles, grass growing taller than some of the trees, vehicles parked in grass, not supposed to be according to taking pride in your property. It tells us what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. And the first comment, I'm going to hand out these pictures. You can look at them, see them for yourself. But the first comment that you may hear is, no, well, that's not our department. Or this time I haven't heard it, but I think it's probably coming. We've been so busy, we haven't had time to do any of this stuff because of the storm. One of these cars that's disabled has been there for over 2.5 years. The first year, it was jacked up on jack stands on the back, and I've got pictures of it. And the second year, starting about 6 months ago, they took the jack stands off and set the car down on the rims. The grass is taller than the back bumper on the car. I mean, it's the weeds. I don't know if you can't call it grass. It's just junk and weeds. So I'm going to hand out these pictures. You can look at them. They're pretty self-explanatory. The last one is a semi that parks in the yard. The tractor, not the whole truck. It wouldn't fit in the yard, the whole, but the tractor shouldn't be there. It's not there all the time, but it's there enough times that it shouldn't be there. I don't know how you could put that truck in that yard without driving over the curb and the sidewalk. There isn't any way. And so I'll pass these out, and you can take a look at them if you have any questions about them. One of my big concerns is about a mobile home that's parked on the street at Southwest 4th Street and Elm. It appears that this is being used as a living quarters. There's a generator, cooking utensils. There's a tent. The motor home, or it's not a motor home, it's a trailer. It's probably about a 28 or so footer, and a truck that's in front of it that evidently is broke down because the hood's open. And the tag number and everything's on this, on these photographs. I just feel like that sometimes the older parts of our city gets overlooked because we're the older parts of the city. Well, we're still the city, and we need to be taken care of and looked after as though we're part of the new parts of the city. And we have people in that community. My community, to me, is from 1st Street to 14th Street, from Old Main to the Burlington Northern Santa Fe tracks. I made the trip around. I only took a few photographs. I found somewhere around 25 or 30 violations that are easily seen. I don't understand why different departments can't share that information with the correct departments. We have a police department that does a very good job and are very responsive. I don't know what their position is on reporting about these problems, but we used to do that. I can tell you that for a fact. But other departments drive around our community and can see that and report it to the correct. Why do we have to say, well, it's not our department, and let it go? I don't understand that. It's all of our departments. It's all Newton. And I'm appalled at what I see in our city. I've been here for a long time. I moved to Newton when I was a sophomore. I didn't move. My folks moved, and I found them a while later. But anyway, I was a sophomore in high school when we moved to Newton, so that was a long time ago. So I can tell you I graduated from Newton in 1959, if that gives you a hint about how long ago that was. I'm 82 years old. I take pride in our property. I keep it up. Rita and I, in fact, actually, Rita broke her arm the other day. We were working on a fence, and she helped me complete the fence and took a couple of steps away and fell and broke her arm. So it's not a question of you can't do it because of your age. You can do it or have somebody do it. And I'll give you one more comment, and then I'll turn these pictures over to you. The city of Newton, in my opinion, did one of the dumbest things I ever saw. When they platted our end of town, they allowed a house to be built at each end of the alley. So how do you get a vehicle down that alley? You can't. But there was complaint about the alley not being passable and all. There's trees in that alley, been there 60 years before the property was even built. So what I got was a letter that I had a compost pile behind my fence in that alley, and I need to beautify Newton. And so it was shortly after I'd had a serious back surgery, and I couldn't do it myself. This city employee even instructed me who I might be able to use to get that cleaned up. And the cleanup crew came out and said, well, it's going to be $200 to clean the 2 compost piles up in a little brush. And I said, I can't do it for that. Well, we can do it for $150. When they got done, I ended up having to clean up after them. It's just the point that I'm saying is my half of the alley, I keep it mowed. I can't cut down the trees, but I take care of what we have. And I see that not taking place all over our community. Something has to wake us up and do what's right for Newton, because if I was looking for a place to live, I'd walk past Newton That's sad, because I remember how prideful and what a great, nice-looking community this used to be. So if I've taken more time than I should have,
No.
I apologize. But here are the photographs. If you have any questions about them, I don't have a smartphone to be able to put that stuff up. A smartphone and a dumb guy just doesn't work too well, so. So I'm going to give those photographs here, and they're self-explanatory. They have the address. Tell us what that's going on. I don't see anything wrong with taking pride in your property. This had come out with a water bill. This one, I actually threw it away, but I came to the city office and a young woman was kind enough to get me a copy of that, and it tells you everything you can and can't do is with your property. And I don't disagree with it. I just think it needs to be enforced. There's no reason for this not to be cleaned up and look nice. And some of these addresses I have, 313 Southwest 6, car on jack stands. Do you think it's operable if it's up in the air? Another complaint I had was at 424 South Ash, weeds 36 inches tall. That's not right across the street about from the Catholic Church there. I just think that we need to get busy and take care of what we have.
We just had a bit of this discussion tonight.
I'm sorry?
We just had a discussion on this a while ago because we had our budget workshop. And the issues that we have around the community and what we hear from folks. And I know where I'm always been a hollerer about it. I would like to see us be able to do more. I know there are some situations that can't be helped, but I think there are ways to help those situations, but to also get tougher. I would like to see us be able to do that. I know it's not an easy thing. It has to be worked into the budget. I mean, as far as adding a person.
Commissioner Valentine, if you recall, several years ago, I stood in this building and told you I would be willing, if you would authorize me, you wouldn't have to hire anybody.
I know, I haven't forgotten
I'm
that.
not afraid to go up to somebody's door in a kindly way. I didn't used to be kindly about some of the doors I went up to, but I have a way of talking to people and talking to them about their property. And I told you folks at that time I'd be willing to do it free charge. Give me the authority. And that still stands at 82. I can still find addresses.
I don't doubt that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Reggie.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Celio Sandate. I live at 225 South Ash Street. And if you will recall, I was here 2 years ago. And things have not changed. I'm back again. Unfortunately, it's to complain because you as commissioners have failed to change policy. And I'm going to talk about policy. We're talking about noxious weeds. Now, before I came here, I did some due diligence. I've talked to Ms. Loomis's office, Mr. Lewis's office, the city attorney's office, and the superintendent of parks to kind of get an idea of what is going on, because there is a blight in this city. You may not know it, but there's a trickle-down effect to that blight. If you will consider, and I think you know, the enrollment in the school district here in town, it's going down. People are moving. Why are they moving? You wonder. Yes, jobs. Could it be the neighborhood? Could it be the delinquent property owners that don't cut their grass? let me digress a little bit. I want to give you two photographs. And the very first one, if you look at the right-hand side, you will see a fire hydrant. And in the second photograph, in the middle of the weeds, you will see the fire hydrant again. So for this spring, I watched the weeds grow. And I was wondering, when is the city going to come and cut, or when is the landowner going to take pride and cut the grass? Well, after doing due diligence and talking to the different offices, guess what? The grass was cut today. Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think it's a coincidence. But it was cut. And I finally get to put my for sale sign out there. Yes, I'm going to join the ranks of people leaving town, if I can. But I couldn't do that because of the grass situation across the street. And it finally has grown. It finally is cut. There is a policy change coming, according to the city attorney's office. I tried to get a copy of the changes that are being made to the noxious weed situation, but I couldn't get a copy. It had to go to Planning Commission before it comes to you. Then you decide whether you're going to sign it. I wanted to see the changes in that policy, because right now, folks, for a better word, the policy sucks. It doesn't have any teeth in it. People get a letter, and I told Jerry Lewis, Jerry, you're not doing your job. There's too many weeds out there in this town. There's too many abandoned cars. He says, I'm following city policy. Okay. Well, the city attorney's office writes the policy, but you as commissioners sign off on it, approve it. We need some teeth into that. I propose, by the way, in talking to the park superintendent, I asked him, how many crews do you have? I know you have 17 parks, you have 15 playgrounds, and you're spread thin. You have to cut grass in all of those. I said, how often do you cut grass at a private property? He said, on average, 3 a week. 3. You've got dozens of delinquent property owners around town. 3 a week? Well, they get the Jerry Lewis's letter and dump it in the trash because they know that the city was never going to get around to them. And yeah, they may cut the grass eventually, but folks, I would propose that Human Resources hires some of these students, even one student, to go around and only cut the grass from private properties. That would really clean up the city. And it doesn't take much, according to the park superintendent. He's spread thin. He only has 13 workers. And usually they're college kids, high school kids, who work cutting grass. But if we could get one person to cut only private properties, I think this city would look a lot better. I know it would. Right now, there's too many delinquent properties, and nobody is taking responsibility. You as commissioners are going to sign off on this new policy, the changes. We hope there's some teeth in it, because something has to change. I think I've said enough. I thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. I hope that in another year or so, I'm not up here again talking about the same issue, because I was here 2 years ago on the same issue. Thank you.
So what's the process? And when someone's grass is, we go through a notification and,
We go through a notification, we have to give a certain period of time, and then after they don't mow, don't respond, after we've done a reinspection, then we will send a list to our park maintenance folks, and then they add that to their list, and then they try and get to that on mowing.
and then we add it. We bill them, and if they don't pay it.
We bill them if they, if we have to mow it, then we bill them
Yeah.
for our time.
And if they don't pay it, then we put an assessment against the property.
Yeah.
I think it starts in the neighborhood first, though. I mean, knock on your neighbor's door and ask them if they need to borrow a mower or lend a hand or whatever is probably the easiest thing to do before it becomes a city issue. I mean, I would not want anybody coming on my property mowing my lawn. I mean,
But there's folks that don't mind that.
Right.
And we've talked a lot about this back and forth over these past few years, and we just really need to do something. We need to sit down and think about what we can do. And I know you and I talked, and I said, we talked about the very things that Reggie mentioned, just between our budget meeting and this meeting. And I know that you have a program that you are capturing more of these properties, but my personal request is the hope that we could maybe add somebody to our environmental control, somebody that could just stay on top of these things. And I know that would just be 2 people, and in a community of 18,500 plus, that's probably still not. I drive around a lot, and I see a lot of these things, and it just irritates. It's maddening. And then listening to the comments that come from citizens, I don't like to hear those things. I would really like to see us make this a priority. We hash it around, but it just never goes anywhere. So I thank you for coming back. And I remember you said that, Reggie, and what an ideal situation. You're retired. You've done these things before. I mean, you've gone to doors. You're not afraid to do that. What an ideal situation. That's my take. I'll shut up now.
Okay. Thanks for
Yes.
Thank you both.
coming forward. We don't like it either. So, okay, well, let's go around the horn. You have anything you want to share, Leroy?
I do not.
Yes, sir.
No, sir. I have some good news. We received our EMC dividend check from our insurance. And I don't know of any other insurance that does that besides EMC. But this year, it's $47,700.
Nice.
So that helps somewhat. Doesn't pay for our deductible,
Yeah,
but it still is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yes. Yes.
I have nothing.
Oh, no. Thank you for all your work. the budget process. Thank you for all of the explanations and the help for us to, so that we can think and come back with some good direction.
No, sir.
Okay, I don't have anything either, so